Hi, today I'm joined with Andrew Halliday, and we're going to be talking about Googlebot Activity, specifically on e-commerce websites. So anyone who's got an e-com website online, then why is Googlebot Activity and why is tracking that Googlebot Activity very important for e-commerce websites?
Yeah, so it's important for a number of reasons. First of all, if you are changing prices regularly or products going in and out of stock, then you need Google to reflect that, especially if you've got the structured data set up right and it's appearing in the SERPs. Then if your prices are saying one thing in Google and then they're clicking through and the price has gone up, it does lower conversion rate. So the only way you can do that is by having Google optimized core budgets, so Google are hitting your pages every single time. But the other issue I've come across recently is as more and more suppliers are getting more advanced, they're sending the e-commerce businesses CSV daily files of new products. So historically, an e-commerce business would have to go and buy all these products and stock them in their own warehouse. Whereas now more and more moving into the drop shipping realm, and this is more and more of the established businesses moving into the drop shipping realm, they're suddenly trying to add 100,000 products onto their site, which might historically only have 5,000. So they're losing their rankings because Googlebot, instead of crawling these 5,000 pages regularly and understanding the category pages when changes are made and understanding the blog and the content, they're now trying to crawl a page that you might not sell this product of. It might be very small. So they're wasting all the time trying to crawl these extra pages. Instead of going through it a smart way of adding maybe 10,000 one week, get Googlebot to crawl them, increasing the crawl budget by monitoring it, then adding another 10,000 or adding 20,000. They're just chucking 100,000 products on, plus say an extra couple of thousand category pages, and they might write a couple of thousand blog articles to go over this. So they've gone from having a 5,000 page site to maybe 120,000 page site and wondering why everything's getting tanked because Googlebot's getting confused. It's not able to crawl what it likes to crawl.
Yeah, and with regards to when it is getting, if Googlebot is getting confused and it is then not crawling the main 5,000 pages and it's going off to different products and stuff like that, would you then, if you was to take over, if someone was to come to you and go, Andrew Halliday, you are the expert at technical SEO, can you run a server log analysis and check to see the Googlebot activity? Would you then be looking to remove some of them products and do like a content pruning exercise and then potentially, as the site started to grow in time, re-add them back in? Is that something that you would want to do if you was to take it over?
100%, yeah. Go back to, not necessarily straight back to the 5,000 they had originally, but go through and go maybe category at a time. So let's say you're selling tech, obviously we're on a computer now, and you've added 100,000 products. I might actually go, no, I only want to focus on the chargers. Well, let's add the chargers, that's 5,000. So I would be taking 90,000 products off. You do have one advantage in e-commerce in that you have the Google shopping feed, and Google wants to crawl that. So every time you do add a product into there, you do see initial spike in Googlebot activity, but that suddenly goes away if you don't have the authority to keep that level up there. So yeah, the first thing would be to actually just go through pruning and be quite ruthless to get it back crawling where I want it to crawl, and then a phased plan. And it depends on the size of the business, what budgets they've got, to try and get back up to that ultimate level of 100,000 products just over time rather than in one go.
Is there any way of tracking the Googlebot activity on e-commerce websites?
Yeah, great question. Main way is just downloading your server logs, importing it into either, there's multiple tools online, whether that's Jet Octopus, Screaming Frog has a tool. I have custom built tools because I've been doing it that long. But yeah, there's multiple ways of tracking it, but fundamentally you've got to download your server log file, which you can get from your server, and then you can just track the trend.
So obviously I'm going to give you now 30 seconds where you can pitch yourself, right? Why should I come to you as a professional service and hire Andrew Halliday to go and do my Googlebot activity kind of analysis, as opposed to downloading them and putting them into Screaming Frog or Jet Octopus and getting the information from there? Obviously, I don't know how to do it is probably the number one reason, but and not knowing what that data means. But 30 seconds, why you over using a tool like Jet Octopus or Screaming Frog?
There's nothing wrong with them tools, let's clarify that. But them tools are only going to give you 70% of the main issues. What the difference here is that I'm used to looking, especially for e-commerce sites, on the outliers. If things are going wrong, if Googlebot's going down a rabbit hole, the stuff that you manually need to go in to find, the stuff you can't find in a tool because they're one-offs, they're edge cases, they're not something well worth building into a tool because it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah, so obviously when you're seeing e-commerce websites every single day, you're seeing the common problems, the common crawl problems. You're seeing specific areas that might be being crawled that now, by deleting or saving those as a draft, then could increase, not just increase crawl budget, you might have the same crawl budget, but be able to re-crawl specific important pages. But this leads me on to my next question. If if I was like really hungry and I'm like, Andrew, I want to add 20,000 pages, right? I want to do it as soon as possible. And you recommend that I shouldn't do that. But I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. Is there a way of me being able to increase my crawl budget? And if so, how do I increase my crawl budget on my e-commerce website so I'm getting more Googlebot activity?
That is usually the response most business owners give. They want to go straight for the 100,000, but I can usually get them down to a more reasonable number. But yes, there are ways of doing it. First of all is to fix any technical issues you've got on your site. So let's say your crawl budget is 30,000 at the moment, and you've got a load of 301s on because you can't bother going through all blog articles of all category pages. Well, every one of them counts as a wasted crawl budget. So first of all, I go through and fix all the fundamentals, the foundations. The next thing I'll be doing is checking the server is set up correctly, that it's not going down. Because every time Googlebot sees a 500 error, it worries that it's the reason it's caused your servers go down, and it doesn't want to be the cause of your, in essence, a DDoS attack. So it reduces your crawl budget. So I'd fix the foundations first. Then once that's in place, and assuming they're all okay, it's then going out and building authority links, using services out there to get decent high quality links back, appearing on something like a Google News site to trigger the Google News bot to come, which in Google's eyes is more authoritative than just the standard bot. I would then be sending social signals, whether that's through paid ads or just general, if they've got a decent following, trying to send other third-party signals. And something that obviously Google likes, paid adverts. Driving paid adverts increases your core budget, because if you're spending the money with Google, they want to check that where they're sending to is right, so they spend more on their core budget to you. So the more you spend with Google ads, the more, especially initially. Yeah.
Yeah. So with regards to at present we're looking at specific mapping out of our site. We're looking at like click depth, and the amount of unique internal links that's going through to specific pages. Like a page rank simulator to going, okay, majority of the page ranks going through to this page. But realistically, is there a way for me to be able to send you my full list of URLs, and you can tell me in the last 3 months how many times Googlebot has visited those specific pages? Because even though my page rank simulator might say this is my most powerful page, you might have some Googlebot activity and it could be a random page, a random URL that could be ranking that, okay, might not have as much internal link juice, but because the volume of, let's say, social media mentions and links through to that and stuff like that externally, or traffic because of the rankings of it, that could be my most valuable page from Googlebot activity. And I could then strategically then try to kind of page rank sculpting, so to speak, internal link it through to my biggest, most important pages. Is there a way of doing that where I download my URLs or send you through my full site, and I can almost order of most Googlebot activity to least Googlebot activity at a page level?
Yes. So in the log file, without getting too technical, it does give you the URL path. And basically one of the first steps in the audit is checking, is every page being crawled? You want it crawled at least once every 90 days, ideally once every 30 days. But yeah, the first thing would be to do a list of all your URLs. I'd get that from several places. One, crawling your site, downloading your sitemap, and then looking at, because some pages you might be getting hits from Googlebot that is a legacy page, and it could be causing 404 because you had a page, let's say your e-commerce site's 20 years old. 20 years ago into tech site, you were selling fax machines. Well, nobody's really selling fax machines nowadays, so that page is dead for obvious reasons. but you forgot to put a 301 in. So Google's still hitting that page because there's a load of external links to it. So it's still using your crawl budget, but it's 404 in. But you're not picking that up in your Screaming Frog crawl or your manual crawl on the site because there's no internal linking. So that would be one of the first things, checking how many they're hitting, where they're hitting, the last time they hit it, and where they're hitting that they shouldn't be hitting.
Yeah. And then with regards to, if I've got an e-commerce site, let's say I'm on WordPress and I've got a WooCommerce and I really want to move over to Shopify and I want to migrate my website over, how important is the month before and as I'm looking to do the migration and the couple of months after, how important then is tracking that Googlebot activity? Is that probably, I'm presuming that would be one of the most important times to make certain that things aren't being crawled, URLs aren't being crawled that aren't strategically being 301'd properly and stuff like that.
Yeah, the month before and definitely the days and the weeks after the launch is crucial. You're in the log files almost, I'm going to say hourly, but at least daily, so you can pick up any errors. As you know, with every big migrations, someone's forgot to put a 301 in here, or especially if you're moving Shopify and you can't change the blog URL links or the category links, you might have to put 301s in if someone's missed something. So yeah, on the straight after the migration would be hourly, but then daily pretty soon after, and then constant checking.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy for me with regards to Googlebot activity for e-commerce sites where not many people talk about crawl data, crawl budget, crawl stats, Googlebot activity, but like they're the foundations initially that get you then your keywords to be ranking, which then gets you the impressions, which then leads on to the clicks, which then leads on to the sales. Everyone seems to obsess over how many sales have we had, how many clicks have we had. Realistically, if they started right at the foundations, it's the most important part is making certain you're tracking that Googlebot activity, because if you can keep trying to slowly improve and increase that Googlebot activity, like you said, it's then going to lead on longer term to more impressions, more clicks and more sales. So what would you say to people that don't really track the crawl stats, the crawl budget and the Googlebot activity on an e-commerce website specifically?
I say the biggest ranking factor in my eyes is crawl. Is the page being crawled? You can have the world's best content. Shakespeare could have written your content, for example. You could have the most amazing backlinks pointing to it, but if Google's not crawled it, it's not going to rank. So if you don't understand what Google's crawling and not crawling, you've got no chance of any. Sales are the backbone of any business, granted. But if it's not being crawled and indexed, then you're not going to get the sales. So sales are important. I'm not denying that. But without the rankings, without that first crawl by Googlebot, you've got no chance of any of the following steps happening. But obviously then going on flip on that, if you have got poor content and Googlebot's crawling it, that's going to have a negative impact on you. So if you just go onto ChatGPT, ask it to write you a category description, leave all the M dashes in there and all the other telltale signs it's been written by ChatGPT or any other AI agent, then that's going to have a negative impact because Google is going to be like, maybe I don't trust this site. It's not super quality.
Yeah. So for me, the key takeaway here with regards to Googlebot e-commerce, Googlebot activity on e-commerce websites is to reach out to Andrew Halliday to get a professional server log analysis being done. If you are savvy enough and a technical SEO yourself, make certain you're downloading those server logs, loading it into Jet Octopus or Screaming Frog, and keep checking that Googlebot activity and making certain that your internal linking from the most pages with the most activity, making certain that there's no orphan pages on there, not just from an internal linking point of view, but no Googlebot activity. That there tells you then from a technical standpoint when content pruning might be needed. If all the pages are being crawled often and you've got other pages you want to, you can slowly start building up with article velocity. But for anyone who wants to reach out to you, Andrew, what's the best way of getting hold of you if they was to say, Andrew Halliday, I want to get you involved in a technical audit to run my Googlebot activity. What's the best way of getting hold of you?
Either on my personal site, which is andrew-halliday.com, or on my technical site, which is onpage.rocks.
Superb. It's been a pleasure in having you on, and hopefully people have liked the episode about Googlebot activity on e-commerce websites.
Thank you.